Good morning and welcome. I'm Tracey-Jane Hughes from the Business Cheerleading Club, and today I'm with Thoranna, our lovely marketing expert who I had the pleasure of doing a conversation with earlier this year about finding your target audience and understanding who your target market is. So I'll put the link to that below because that is always a starting point, Thoranna, isn't it?
That is a starting point. And I keep coming back to it. It is so much a starting point. You know, I'm starting work with a client now that's been in the market for about 10, 15 years, but, you know, they're coming out with a new version of their product. And I'm going to have to pull them right back to exactly that. Because you can't do anything else until you know that, until you understand who you're speaking to and what they want and how, you know, how you can present things so that they realize that it's for them. You have to know them to do that. It's
okay. So we're going to leave that bit there because we've already talked about that. And today is just about stage 2. Do you call it stage 2 or how do you frame it?
I've broken the thing down into 5 main elements and that's stage 2 because, you know, you need to know your audience, and then stage 2, which is knowing your competition, because then you start building your brand and you need to know the competition to build a brand that's distinct from them. And that's when you can start talking about marketing communications. That's when you can go into the whole, you know, should I be on Facebook or where should I advertise or all that stuff, which is where people want to dive in. But if you don't have that basis, that's really going to, you know, that's going to be very ineffective. You're going to waste a lot of money.
So is this the stage where things start to get exciting, that people sort of, you know, enjoy this a bit more, would you say?
Honestly, no. This is the bit where, and I am talking absolutely without exception, every client I've ever worked with, when I say, okay, now we need to analyze the competition, they go, we don't need to do that. I know these guys. We don't, let's just move on. So it's not the thing that people feel most excited about, but but the thing is, though, at some point, my clients have always gotten, this is again, without exception, they've gotten to a point where they realize that, I need to do that. You know, sometimes they figure it out once they get into the branding thing and realize that they don't know the competition well enough to differentiate themselves, or they get into sort of, you know, practical things like, you know, pricing or whatever, and they go like, I really do need to look at, you know, how they do it a little bit more, or they just go, I better do what Thoranna tells me to do, which is probably rare. But without exception, you know, once they hit that wall, so to speak, and go back and do the analysis, they always come back absolutely raving about it, because what people don't realize that there are so many things you get from the competitive analysis. You're going to spot so many opportunities, you're going to realize so many things, and it's a bit, you kind of fill in the holes in a way. And a lot of my clients have refined their own strategy following doing their competitor analysis, and kind of, you know, have managed to sort of focus on what they're doing a lot more, which is going to make them a lot more effective, and have spotted, you know, some opportunities that were just, you know, money that's lying on the table and nobody's grabbing. But once you've had a look at your target audience and you've looked at what the competition is doing, you get to a point where you're like, oh, okay, you know, nobody's doing this, or why isn't this being done? And there's an opportunity here. And so it's extremely, extremely valuable. And I think I mentioned in the book, actually, it's probably, it's a 5-book series, and this second book on competition and the last one about marketing systems, which I deliberately don't go into the complicated, like, software systems, just sort of, it's basic project management for marketing, really. But those 2 books are the shortest ones, but they absolutely pack a punch. It's not a question of, you know, how many pages are they. It's really the value of what you do with it. And it's crucial, absolutely crucial.
Okay. So let's go dive into this competitive analysis then, because a lot of people won't think that they need to do it, especially if they're maybe creating a new product, for example, or they think that they've got a unique talent that is just about them. And they think, well, actually, because I am unique or I've got a unique product, I don't need to do, any competitive analysis. So just talk us through the steps that you would go through, or that you would, you talk about in your book, just to help us. That we only have a short time, and that's the whole purpose of these. So, and again, it's there'll be more information for people to grab in the book. So it's just a little snippet just to get people started.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, it's this whole thing of thinking I'm completely unique and there's nothing like whatever it is that I'm offering people. Pardon my French, but that's BS, because at the end of the day, what you're doing with marketing is you're meeting a need or you're solving a problem, and people have solved that problem some other way. They've found other ways of doing it, or they've chosen not to solve the problem, which is also an option. So there are always options for people. So those are going to be that's your competition. It may not be exactly what you're doing or anything similar even, but there's always something. And that's where we start. It's sort of thinking, who are your competitors? Because if I am selling, let's say I'm selling the latest gadgets for, selling it to teenagers, like, I was the first person with the fidget spinner. Do you know what I mean? Which is one of those things that nobody had a fidget spinner. And you could have said, oh, it's completely unique. But let's face it, who are you selling to? You're selling to kids who have only a certain amount of money that they can play around with. Now, they have an endless choice of what to do with that money. They could go to the cinema, they can buy clothes, they can buy CDs. So that's not going to be direct competition. That's not identical, but that is the competition you've got. Why should I buy this little fidgety thing rather than spend my money on something like that? So that's kind of the widest sense you can look at competition. And then there are more obvious things like, if I'm selling trainers, or if in America I'm selling sneakers, you'll be looking at mainly trainers or sneakers. But you need to realize that there is always competition, just always. So that's the first thing. And then once you have sort of realized what are the most important competitors to look at, you need to know them. And I've got a huge big list of things that is useful to have a look at with regards to your competition. And those are going to be, that's when you start having the aha moments. You kind of realize how they do things or what they're not doing. And I've got a list of resources of where you can find the information, because with a lot of people, they're like, so I need to find this out about my competition, but they haven't got it on their website. And there are various other ways to do that. Some of them very creative, to be honest. So, I had this client who was selling laptop computers here in my local Icelandic market, and he had to try and figure out what their market share was vis-a-vis competition. And he managed to do that by looking at customs records, how many laptops were imported, because they will have a certain number in the customs records, and then look at what they had, and sort of based on those little things, he managed to figure out what their market share was. So you can get quite creative with things. And then there's a little exercise that I do, which is dead simple, but a real eye-opener, which is mapping the competitive landscape. So, which is basically what I have people do is if you put all those competitors on different post-it notes, and then you kind of group them together into themes, and you will see that there'll be sort of clusters that are similar. And this often kind of gets you to open your eyes about, what's not being serviced in the market. I think if I remember correctly, I used this example in the book, which was I was working with a website company that was also sort of moving into doing a bit of SEO and a bit of the sort of digital marketing side of things. And once they had mapped their competitors, which were like, they could go for the big web design agencies, they could be the DIY stuff, the Squarespace and the Wix and all that. And once they'd mapped that whole thing, they realized that there was a space that wasn't being filled in that market, which, now it's been probably 6 or 7 years since we were working together on their strategy, which they've now very, very successfully filled and are doing really well with that. So if you don't sort of get the lay of the land, you don't realize where the opportunities lie.
So how do you start the process, Thoranna? Is it a case of, okay, I make green widgets, so I'll type in, where do I get green widgets from in my local area on, a search engine? Is that where you start?
It'll vary greatly with what market you're in. Like, if you're selling, let's say they're flowers, because you mentioned green. If I'm selling flowers, I'm not really going to be in competition with internet services in the US. Let's say I'm in Europe. But again, if they're just green widgets, and we don't have to worry about them going bad or dying, then I'm in great competition with internet shops in the US and globally. So it really, really varies. If I'm a gym, I'm not going much further. There'll be a certain radius where people will be happy to go. So it varies greatly where you kind of start with it. And most people don't, once they understand the thinking, they don't have a problem sort of finding them. As soon as they get out of the, mind frame of going, oh, there's no competition, they start realizing, oh yeah, there's that and this. And, but yeah, obviously once you've sort of figured it out, then doing a Google search is a good thing. And using those sort of, with a lot of businesses, it's useful to use those directory pages like Yellow Pages and Yelp and States and Google My Business and that sort of stuff. But finding them is usually not that hard.
So like you say, for those people that think that they are unique or have a unique product or service, their competition and how they need to think is about solving the problem. It's about
the problem, meeting the need. You have, like always with marketing, you have to put yourself in the customer's shoes. You have to think, okay, this is what I need. I've got option A, B, C, D. What can I do about it? That's going to be your competition. Anything else, an alternative solution or an alternative way to meeting that need is going to be a competition. So if you look at it that way, that will break you out of the thinking of, that nobody else has this thing with three little, things that turns around. It'll break you out of that thinking.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I'm just typing that up. I'm trying to listen and type and
multitask like crazy. Yeah, no,
I'm doing my best.
You're doing great.
So in terms of what do we need to find out about our competitors? It's not just a case of, market share or, what they're doing with their marketing, or, you've identified for us that some people have found their niches by doing their competitive analysis, so that, that some people, you know that you are solving a particular problem, but you can even niche it down even further when you do your competitive analysis. So, what are those are some of the outcomes, but, what else can we sort of gain and learn from this, analytical part that a lot of people and business owners, like you say, shy away from because we don't think we need to do it?
I think one of the things is sort of how are they covering the market? If you look at them, you'll find that some, let's say you sell creams, some sort of beauty cream, skincare things. You'll see that some of your competitors will have like 1 or 2 creams, and that's, you know, they will focus on that. And then you'll have others which have a huge big line of creams. Now, those kind of things will tell you a lot about them. Like the ones that are very, very focused, they can be really strong because they are so focused, and their attention isn't spread on a huge big line of products. But at the same time, the ones that have a huge big line of product have the market very well covered. So that might be a strength. So pardon me. I thought I had turned it off, but obviously I hadn't. Where was I? Yeah, so that's going to be different things. It's also, you're going to see, if you have a look at their marketing, you can see a lot about how they operate. You know, some you can get simple little tools that can give you indications as to what they're doing. I mean, one of the simple things, which is going to be free and very few actually do, which is very strange, is things like Facebook pages to watch. You know, if you go into your Facebook page and you go into your Facebook Insights, at the bottom there, you can put in pages that you want to watch, and you can see them. They'll be ranked by the size of the page, and you can see things like, you know, are they going up or down in likes and engagement and all that stuff. And you can see what are their most popular posts and things like that. So these things can show you, you know, what they're doing that's working or not working. So, you know, that's one thing. So there's a lot of different things you can see. Where once you start looking at, you know, for more complex product, once you start looking at their pricing and how they, you know, their payment terms and things like that, that can have a lot to say. If you're selling expensive things, you know, are you giving your clients or your customers options in that respect that your competitors are not, or are they giving options that you're not, and you might have to look at that. There's you know, I'm just scrolling down to trigger my memory here. You know, distribution is another thing, and online sales keep going up and up and up, and you know, they're not going to be going down, they're only going to be going up. But the big problem with online, you know, sales and online shops is distribution of products. Now, I don't envy people who compete with Amazon, who are, you know, testing things like drones and crazy stuff like that. So that can be tricky. And like, do your competitors have connections or, you know, partnerships or something that allow them a competitive advantage in that respect? Which can be a huge thing. And it's hard. You know, a lot of people today are selling things like, you know, the obvious things like T-shirts or pillows or whatever. And they're using services like Printful and selling through Shopify. And if you think about these things, you get to a point where it's really, really difficult to differentiate, because they're using the same shopping system, they're using the same vendors, you know, the production is the same. So the only differentiator is the design you put on it. You know, what more can you do? And this is when it comes down to having a look at what they're doing with content and social and personality. And this is a key thing before you go into branding. You need to understand what your competition's like as a brand, because in many markets, that's the only way you're going to differentiate yourself. You know, you're not going to be able to offer a lower price, which is, by the way, always a very dangerous sort of strategy, dangerous route to go down. You're not going to be able to offer better distribution. You're not, you know, it's all going to be the same. So it's all going to come down to, who do people like more? You know, what brand is going to capture their hearts? Who are they going to want to do business with? I mean, look at Dollar Shave Club. Which I believe has now been bought by Unilever or you know, don't quote me on it, but Unilever has done a great job of buying up fantastic brands. But like Dollar Shave Club, yeah, they had the USP obviously of it being cheaper to buy it from them, online rather than the brands. But the brands could have easily gone the same way and sold for the same price through the same channel, but that was never gonna really do anything because the whole thing was around the brand. I mean, if the people watching don't know Dollar Shave Club, then do Google it, because and put it into, find them on YouTube as well, because you will see their brand character is just freaking amazing. It's so fun. And if you don't know what kind of brand the competition is, and if you don't understand it, you're not going to be able to play against it, which you need to do. So that's a huge big thing. And today, in the days of social media and content marketing, why should people be reading your blog or signing up for your email list or following you on Facebook or Twitter if you're just saying the same things and being the same sort of bland character that everyone else is? So, and the thing is, you're going to learn so much from looking at the competition. You're going to learn, you're going to pick up things that they're doing well that you can borrow. I'm not going to say steal, but you can borrow. And you're also going to spot a lot of things that they're, not doing. And you're going to be going like, oh, wow, I can't believe they're not doing that. I'm absolutely going to, use that opportunity. So you really can't go wrong. And like I said, my clients always come back just going, oh my God, I never realized, that there's nobody doing this and there's all these people asking for it. And like, I'm going to give them that. And it's just, but
So I know it's a tough question, Thoranna. We're sort of coming to the end of our time, but I like giving you the tough questions. How long a process should we be allowing ourselves to do this competitive analysis? Because we've spent time looking at our target market and doing some research and some surveys. So, that's a chunk of time. We're now looking at our competitors, but we are so excited. We want to get our product to market. We're ready to serve our customers. We've got all these products and services. We've got all these ideas, and we're just ready to go. So please, make it as short as possible. Please.
Be the tortoise, not the hare.
Okay.
It varies greatly. I mean, it depends on the complexity of your market. It depends on how many players are in your market. It depends on how easily accessible the information is. In my market, in my local market, for example, information is fairly accessible. Like, one of the things that we can do here is we can actually go to the company registrar and we can get the annual accounts. We can pay a fee to get the annual accounts of any business, any registered business, which is going to give you a lot of clues. You can't do that in just any market. So it does vary greatly depending on your market, but it doesn't have to be that much. And the thing is, once you've done this once, all you're doing is sort of, maybe every year or every 6 months, depending on how fast your market is, you're kind of just reviewing it and adding things and, sure, if there's another, entry into the market, you need to sort of analyze them from the ground up. But it's only once that you really have to do it this deep. But I think, you're not going to regret the time that goes into it. It can range anywhere from a couple of days to a couple of weeks, I'd say.
And, from my perspective, I've been in business for 15 years and, I help other people to, grow themselves and their businesses. And a lot of this is about focus and time and planning. And if we don't put the time in at the start of the process, we don't put the structures in place, we're not going to be in there for the long term. Mm-hmm. So, what we do in our marketing is very much the same what we do in all other aspects of our business. Yep. And I think it's absolutely right that we spend time doing this competitor analysis because, we can learn a lot from other people and how they're doing it. And there are loads of tips that we can, grab and go, oh, look, they're using that bit of software, or, they're using that. And, oh, what a fantastic idea. I hadn't thought about using that in that particular way.
Yep.
So, spending time doing the groundwork will help you and set you up for a sustainable business and sustainable growth, and not just, be here today and gone tomorrow, which, none of us want for our clients, do we?
No, foundations. It's like building a house. Foundation.
It is.
It really is.
So what would be your one top tip? If people can only do one thing from today, what would be, you must do this?
The one thing.
The one thing. Your top tip.
Go and go through your competitors' websites with a fine-tooth comb.
Okay. I'm just writing that down.
That's probably going to be the most useful thing you can do. Okay. It sounds so obvious, but if you think about it, how many times have you done that? Have you ever done that?
Yeah. So the one top tip from today from Thoranna, our marketing expert from Iceland: go through your competitors' websites in detail. and we would love to hear, how this has gone for you if you're at this stage of planning your marketing. So, please do, contact Thoranna, contact myself, leave comment, here with us, and we'll help you. We're here to help you get your business moving and growing. So, Thoranna, I will put it's thoranna.is is your website, isn't it, for people to contact you?
Yeah.
And let me just put that up for people. So people want particular marketing support and help, and to buy your book, the actual fine details of doing a competitive analysis for your marketing strategy, then go directly to Thoranna's site. And if you need further help or support with anything to do with your business or growing yourself, then please do feel free to have a look at joining us in the Business Cheerleading Club, which is training, support, coaching, encouragement, all of those things that you need. We all need cheerleaders in our business, and we're very much about helping you to grow your business in the way that's right for you, and whatever stage you're at. So marketing is just one part of it, and competitive analysis is one small part of marketing. And I know it all gets a bit frustrating and a bit like, what we're going to do, but we can do it, can't we? Together, Thoranna, we can do it.
Oh God, yeah, absolutely. We can all do it. You guys can absolutely do it. And having someone like Tracey-Jane on your team is going to make it that much easier.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time this morning, Thoranna. I'll make sure all the links are available for people. And I look forward to the next book so that we can do this again for the next step.
Thank you.
I'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.